Okay, this is lesson going to be looking at primarily living conditions within the Soviet Union. As we've already stated in previous lessons, Stalin's regime was brutal. So think about living conditions on the farms, liquidation of the kulaks. Also the gulag as well. Millions of people being sent into forced labour, into slavery. But let's have a look at it round the clock. Okay? Straight away then, we need to understand that food in the Soviet Union, although grain increased, food was still expensive and people were malnourished. Housing. In many places it would be 8 people to a single room, with no toilets and no running water. Harsh conditions and ripe for disease. But there were some, as we can say, benefits. Well, not really benefits, but just some plus points to consider. Education was free. So the children of the workers could go and get an education. This was very different to what their parents had experienced. So many workers saw that their hard labour and all their toil and trouble was worth it because their children were getting an education. Also, healthcare was free within the Soviet Union. If you were ill, you could go to a hospital and see a doctor for free of charge. Working conditions within the factories, though, were terrible. Deaths were always occurring because of mistakes made and because of unskilled labour, and health and safety was non-existent. Real wages, money people were paid, fell. People did not have enough money to live. Also, because Stalin was obsessed with just producing steel and grain, there was nothing to spend your money on. There was no consumer goods. People couldn't use what little money they had to buy anything that we would class as luxury. Now back then you would class luxury as having clean clothes, soap, being able to go out to entertain yourself. These things were not available in Russia, in the Soviet Union. So you think, well, why did people buy into it? Well, people did. Main example is Alexei Stukhanovite, who was a coal miner. He allegedly produced 4 times his quota of coal in one day, and he was seen as a hero of the Soviet Union. Now, because the workers wanted a better future for their children, they saw that as a motivation to work extra hard to build this paradise. Many probably felt that although they wouldn't ever witness it, the next generation may, and this compelled people to work. Women. Under communism, there is no difference between a man and a woman. Women were encouraged to work in the factories. Women were taken as forced labour. Women worked in the field. But Stalin had a dual role for women. He also felt, in a very sexist and chauvinistic way, that women should also be housewives. So the lot for a woman was doubly worse, because although you'd have to go and work extra long shifts during the day in horrible conditions, you were then expected to go home and look after the house, make the food, tend to your children, look after your husband. So it was a duly damning role for women. So there's just some aspects of living conditions within the Soviet Union. We can see some horrible aspects of it, but also we maybe can understand why so many people work so hard. It's hard really to judge it anything other than a disaster, but if we're being objective, we have to pay some consideration to the, in quotes, benefits of the Stalinist system.